everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today I am here with another readathon announcement. It is the FantasyAthon Round 2. Let's jump right into it. FantasyAthon is a readathon that Maddie from over at the Book Pusher had created, and she invited myself and Allie from Allie Corvier to go ahead and co-host with her. And we are going to have a round 2 in December. We are announcing this in plenty of time for you to just gather up all of your books and prepare for the readathon. I have all the information on my computer here. I will be reading it off to you because I don't have everything memorized yet. We have a lot of really cool challenges, a buddy read that is optional, but I am really excited for, and hopefully you guys can join us for some fantasy reading before the end of 2019. This is the time of year where I love to read fantasy books, so this is like perfect prime fantasy reading real estate for me right now. And in December, Nana will be over and I can get back to reading again. So let's jump into all the information that you need for FantasyAthon. First of all, be sure to check out FantasyAthon on Twitter. That account will be listed down below, as well as Maddie and Allie's channels, both down there. We do have a 2-week readathon because fantasies tend to take a little bit longer, so we do give you extra time because we're nice like that. And we understand like the constraints of reading a fantasy novel. It takes longer than a contemporary. The dates will be December 13th to the 22nd of December. It's a nice long time. You guys can come read all the books with us. December 13th to the 22nd. We will have a live show for this. I don't know when yet. Nope. Super don't know when. I don't think we have a date for that yet. But we will let you know. We do use the hashtag FantasyAthon on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere. If you want to join in, let us know what you're reading. Keep us updated. We love that. But again, I love personally that this is a longer readathon for fantasy books. There are 7 challenges. We encourage you to double, triple, quadruple up on all of them. First up is just to read a diverse fantasy book. This could be an own voices author. It can be own voices representation in characters. Whatever it is, just somebody who has a different life experience than you. Obviously, it's a fantasy world, so they're going to have different life experiences than you. From an author that's different than you or characters that are different than you outside of the fantasy differences. Makes sense? Makes sense. Then, because we like to give you as many options as possible to make this as easy as possible, you can either read a debut fantasy or a backlist fantasy. So either one that's just been sitting on your shelves for forever, or one that's brand new to you and has just come out. What do we have that's just come out by debut authors? Reverie by Ryan LaSala. I read that. It was okay. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. I'm trying to think what else is coming out soon that is debut. A quick Goodreads search should help you with that. Then we have, you can either start a new series or continue in a series. I will most likely continue in a series because you guys know I like to wrap up my series before I end the year. So I have a couple series that are still ongoing that all fall within the fantasy realm. And I will most likely be giving one of those a read to just try to wrap those up. So this is a great way to also try to wrap up the series that are continuing or ending that you haven't finished yet before 2020 begins. You can just kind of put that series to rest. Number 4 is to read a hype train fantasy. That could also be diverse. It could also be backlist or debut, or it could also be one that continues a series or starts a series. So just as long as it's hyped, go ahead and give it a read. Number 5 is to finish a fantasy that you started, but you did not DNF. There are plenty of fantasies that I have started that I just haven't finished, haven't continued with, namely Gideon the Ninth. Started it, didn't finish it, want to. That would be hype train, that would be diverse. There's a whole bunch of things that stands for me, so I could go ahead and read that and knock out a whole bunch of things. Is it a debut? I think it's a debut. So that would cover a whole bunch of my bases as well. Number 6 is to read a fantasy in a format that you don't typically. So if you usually read ebooks, maybe read a physical. If you usually read physical books, maybe try an audiobook. Or if you want to try a graphic novel or a manga, that's fine too, and something that you don't typically reach for. It could also be an age range. So if you typically read fantasy that is adult, maybe try a young adult or a middle grade, whatever works for you. And then number 7, this time around, we're going to say maybe read one of your host's favorite fantasy books, and I have those all here. I'm gonna let you know what all of our favorites are so that you can know those and maybe pick one of these for your TBR. But there's also an additional bonus challenge, and that's to buddy read Winterwood by Shea Earnshaw with us. I don't have that yet. It is coming to me soon. This is a second novel, so sophomore novel after The Wicked Deep. It is fantasy light, so for those of you that are more contemporary readers, this is more contemporary with a fantasy twist, and it's more of that fantabulist kind of reading. So if you're a little bit sketchy on full-blown fantasy and giant world building, this one's a lot more accessible. I have already read the ARC, but I'm really looking forward to reading this again and seeing what the differences between the ARC and the finished copy are, because I'm hoping some changes were made. It's still a very atmospheric read and a lot of fun. We're going to be reading it as an unofficial buddy read between the three of us and with anybody else who wants to join in. So be sure to use the hashtag FantasyAthon to follow that on Twitter. We will be trying to read that for the 2 weeks of FantasyAthon. If you'd like to join us, please do. All right, now on to all of the hosts' favorites. I know what mine are, but I don't know Maddie's and I don't know Allie's offhand, so I am going to reference my list here. So Allie's favorite fantasies are The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. Is that who wrote that? Also, The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. They're all back there. I have a whole stack of them. Then we have Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I got them right up here. You see them? You see them a little bit? Then we have Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson, which I also love. She said that, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't put that on my list, but it's really, really good. I loved it. I haven't heard like scathing reviews for it, but I know it's not everybody's favorite. I personally really, really like it. And then The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, which I haven't actually read, but I think that that's a shorter book. So if you're looking for some shorter books that are fantasies that you want to squeeze into a TBR, that might not be a bad one. And then for Maddie's favorites, we have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which is the red one. That one right up there. And then we have City of Brass. Who writes that? I haven't read that one yet. The Tethered Mage, which I've never heard of. I don't know who writes that. Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Trail of Lightning. I don't know. I don't really know who writes that. And then Lifelike by Jay Kristoff, which is a really, really quick read. I think that his books that aren't like the Nevernight series, if you read Lifelike or even Aurora Rising or something like that, those tend to be really quick reads. If you can get them in audiobook format, they're really, really great, very dynamic, full kind of cast, and they really move quickly. So that might not be a bad one. And then for me, my favorites, I picked Strange Grace by Tessa Gratton, which is up here. And then I picked Dead Witch Walking, which is the Hollows series, book 1 by Kim Harrison. This is an urban fantasy, and it is definitely adult. So if you haven't read the Hollows series yet, this is a great time to do it. I believe all of the audiobooks are on Hoopla, so you could give that a listen if you wanted to. If your library subscribes to Hoopla, you can listen to the audiobook for free. And I think the audiobooks are really, really well done. That's how I'm actually rereading the series. So if you wanted to, you could always read that. It is a favorite of mine, and the series will be continuing soon. I'm very excited about that. Then we have The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I adore that series. I haven't actually finished the last one. It is an incredibly diverse, amazing space opera about a group of people, aliens, species, on a spacecraft, just punching holes in the universe, and it's really, really good. I love it a whole lot. Then we have Rules for Vanishing by an author whose name I can't remember because I'm a horrible human being. But this one is a thriller horror with, again, it's kind of that contemporary leaning. It's got a little bit of real world and then a little bit of fantasy. It's very, very cool. I loved it a whole lot. I loved all the twists and turns. I got really creeped out and spooked by it. So if you're looking for a fantasy read that, again, is a little bit less intimidating than like a full-fledged world building series, it's a standalone. You can get in, you can get out. Actually, are all these standalones? No. Strange Grace is a standalone. Long Way to a Small Angry Planet is technically like companion novels. And then Rules for Vanishing is a standalone. The next one is The Wicked Deep by Shea Earnshaw, which also is up there. I love it. This one is a seaside town. It's, again, another fantabulous one set in our world, but with magical elements. So again, a lot less intimidating to jump into. Not a series, so you can get in and get out. Very quick read. I love it a whole bunch. My very last recommendation for this one is Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. This is a sci-fi horror And again, a standalone. So you can get in, you can get out. It's amazing. I love it. And if you wanted to add another book into your TBR, Rolling in the Deep is the novella that follows, or no, it prequels Into the Drowning Deep. So if you wanted to read Rolling in the Deep first, I think I bought the ebook for a couple dollars, and it was a really, really quick read, but it would count as a book. And then you could technically use that for one of the challenges, and then use Into the Drowning Deep for continuing a series if you wanted to. But I really, really love that. It's like a science-y, scary, freaky thriller about killer mermaids. And it's really cool. I genuinely really love it. It super creeped me out, and I think it's a fantastic read. So any of those would be recommendations for me. And I made this list like in the Halloweenish season, so I was like full scary mode, hence the Into the Drowning Deep and the Rules for Vanishing. But some of my favorites, I mean, they're all my favorites, right? Like, I love all these books. So those are all the recommendations that we have for you. If you want to read one of our favorites, we would love to have you do that. Be sure to let us know on Instagram and Twitter using the hashtag FantasyAthon or the FantasyAthon account to let us know if you're going to be reading one of ours, who's you're reading. Be sure to check out all the girls down below. Their channels are listed down below. And then I believe all of our social medias are linked on our channels in our About section, hopefully. Hopefully we've been smart about that and linked everything up in there. I think that's all of our information. So December 13th to the 22nd, read some fantasy books, double up on some challenges, triple up on some challenges. All the information will be in the description box down below, all of the links, everything you need to know. But if I didn't cover something and you have a question, be sure to let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're going to be participating. I personally am really looking forward to this. I'm using this as a way for me to move some of the fantasies out of my TBR prior to 2020. I've been really bad about reading fantasies because I've just been too busy to immerse myself in them, but there's a lot I truly want to read. So this is my time. This is my chance. That's going to be it for this video. If you liked it, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, click that notification bell so you know when I put up new videos, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Bye guys.